All right, everybody, welcome back. Live at Drew's house, another edition. Hope you're all doing well out there. We come to you from our Newburyport studios today, and I have a friend of mine in the house today, Karen Nascembeni, the North Shore Music Theater GM. Lovely, lovely place. I'm sure so many of us have been there in Beverly. Great. How are you?
I'm doing great, Drew. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to see you again. We got to hang out for like several weeks doing the Seabrook Idol thing. That's actually where we met officially. But how much fun was that? Had being a judge with you?
What I love about it is, like, I feel like we made some lifelong friends during that time, and I've already booked so many of the people that we were working with to do shows with us. So it's really cool. It was a great couple of weeks.
I saw that you have a packed schedule already. It seems coming out.
We do. Yeah,
you can name drop a little. Go for it.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a pretty fun April-May lineup for concerts, and some of the guys that we worked with, like Jay Pissarros, he's going to open for Adam Ezra, and Francois Simard is going to open up for the Dark Desert Eagles, and then of course we worked with Pat Badger from Extreme, who's going to be doing he's headlining Dark Desert Eagles. So it's really fun. It's like take your friends to work day.
It's funny. It's some of the so I'm like 35. Some of the women I work with who are like probably in their 10 years older than me or so were like, you got to hang out with Pat Badger? Like, I had his poster on my wall.
He's legendary. Actually, somebody shared a track with me recently that he did. It was a tribute to the Queen or something over in England years ago. That was phenomenal. I was like, wow, these guys were the real deal.
They were, yeah. Talented group. That was so much fun. And it is cool how that like works in this industry, isn't it? You meet people and then they tell you got to meet this person or you're going to see this person, and then they're great. It's like, it's amazing how that all plays out.
And then here we are, right?
And here we are. Yeah, it was great. So the music there, one of my favorite venues to go to. It's just this is Newburyport. I'm sure people of Newburyport know, but this place in Beverly is like just an unbelievable place to go see a show. You can go see comedy, music, plays. I mean, you guys do everything.
Yeah, children's shows, music. You know, it's basically Broadway in Beverly. We have a lot of subscribers actually from the Newburyport area, and it's very well supported by Newburyport residents. But yeah, it's Broadway in Beverly. It's 1,500 seats in the round for people who haven't been, and most of our actors come from New York or Broadway or national tours, international tours. So we're pretty lucky.
Absolutely, I know some of them. I went to. I know we have a mutual friend. I've lost track with her a little bit, but I know I remember Kyla
Kyla Moulton, and Brianna Fallon, her sister.
I almost said I mean, she was always amazing, and I remember thinking like that's somebody who's gonna do that professionally, and like it's funny to see those stories pan out.
Yeah, I love it. Kyla runs our education department, and she's doing a great job. And then Brianna is our top choreographer, and she's actually directing Frog and Toad later on this month, a kids production that we're doing. So yeah, it's a nice Danvers family. Your roots, right?
Yeah, those are my roots. I'm back there now. I moved back the other side of town from where I grew up on. So Danvers, I've returned to Danvers. A lot of people return to Danvers, I'm finding. I don't know how that happens, but
who says you can't go home?
There you go. Very good. Bon Jovi, I think. Very good. So what's the what are you most excited about, like, changes this year? It's going to be weird coming out of the pandemic. I know technically we're not out of it, but we kind of are getting there.
Yeah, and people have such mixed reactions about it, right? Wear masks, don't wear masks. As of right now in March, for the Frog and Toad, we have to wear them because Actors Equity says if the actors are within 10 feet of the audience, you have to have them on.
Have you had issues to any crowd?
I have to say, I think we made the smarter decision. We were one of the only theaters that didn't mandate vaccinations, because at that point the variant was out when we reopened last fall, and I said, I feel safer sitting next to somebody with a mask on, and it makes it so much easier when that's the rule. Everybody has to have it on, and people really there were very few issues, and actually in the curtain speech when we talked about it and begged people, please, please, please keep your mask on, they actually applauded. And when you're cheek to cheek in a theater like that, I think you just feel safer. So now with the concerts, as of right now, we're going to watch the numbers, but we're going to keep the April-May concerts mask-free, and the musicals, we're at the mercy of the Actors Equity Union to find out what we'll do at that time.
Well, that's good you've had success. I mean, I've seen even some major music artists who have made those requirements, and I mean, some of the stuff they get yelled at on Twitter. I mean, some of it's horrible. Like, I'll never listen to your music again. What?
We put an ad out just this week looking for ushers, and all of these anti-maskers went crazy on our Facebook page. I'm like, why? Just leave it alone. Just, I don't know.
It's fascinating how, I'll try not to get too political on this, but I always try to keep that out of here. But it's fascinating how, like, people will just fight so like they won't just not go. Okay, well you need that, but I have to make a big deal of it.
Right.
You know, like I have to take this stand. Like you're gonna take this stand, really?
Right. Like
this is gonna be the thing you fight in the world and make your face known for. You know, I don't know. That's always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, me too. Well, you can imagine it hits so close to home for us that we don't take it lightly. You know, it's like, as you know, my husband died. I almost died. I was in the hospital for 2 months. My father-in-law died. My dear friend, one of our, sponsors, died. So we're going to do what's right for us and our staff. You know, we had ushers who died. And we were closed at the time. It wasn't anything to do with doing, productions. But, and that's what Bill said to me the other day. He said, I'm worried about my little old ladies. He goes, if they want to wear masks, they're going to wear masks.
Yep.
So we encourage people to do what they're comfortable with.
That was 2 years ago for you.
Yes, that was 2 years ago. This week. We got infected right around this time, and then we went into the hospital on St. Patrick's Day. So right now I'm reliving all of that. Every day I can tell you where I was 2 years ago, and I kind of look at the calendar that way. So we want to be smart.
Yeah.
Because we need live performance to come back. There are so many jobs that rely on it.
And we've heard so many experts say, be wary of coming out too early. Like, it's great that we're starting to, but don't get too comfortable. So I heard Dr. Fauci say that.
Right.
So.
Yep. Absolutely.
The when you think back about it, it must be for you, for somebody who has hit so personally. I mean, I get upset about it, hearing it. Must imagine it would be infuriating for you to hear somebody say, whatever, it's a hoax, or I don't need to get vaccinated, or whatever, it's just a cold. Like, how do you deal with it? Because it's out there. How do you deal with that?
I became a major advocate for the past 2 years, and it happened accidentally. I happened to be listening to the radio one day, and somebody said something that really upset me, and I called in, and I was so angry, and it was such a great interview because it was so authentic that they then had me on their TV show, and then I met Alex Goldstein from Faces of COVID, and Alex and I have done international news together because every time somebody at a major media outlet wants him to offer, a patient or somebody who lost somebody, I'm the perfect person, right? Because I lost so many people, but I almost died myself. And so all I can do is raise my voice, and without being fanatical, and the line that I have said for 2 years is, if you want to roll the dice and find out what version of this thing you're going to get, go have at it. But man, there are so many things that people don't know. Like when I left the hospital, I was, I was in rough shape for months, but I had no problems like with my kidneys or my liver or anything like that. Months later, all of a sudden my kidneys were whacked out. I have permanent heart damage. I have extra heartbeats now because of COVID. And a lot of people, even the ones who get the cold version, all of a sudden they're having cardiac issues. Yeah. And some people are blaming it on the vaccine. Oh, it must be the vaccine. It's not. This thing just lays dormant in your body, and it creeps up at the most crazy times. Yeah. And like I said, when I left the hospital, my levels were fine. And then months later, all of a sudden out of the blue. Fascinating. Yeah.
Doctors that you must have stories, people that were really good to you behind the scenes.
Oh my God, you have no idea. It was, and I'm lucky that at the time I didn't really remember any of them. I didn't remember their faces, because I was so out of it. I mean, I was in a coma for 31 days and then just barely hanging in for a month after that, in PT and whatnot.
A full-fledged coma.
Oh yeah, medically induced, but 31 days out. With the most horrific COVID hallucinations. I could write a Netflix series on what I saw on the other side.
Really?
It is, being in a intensive care situation, you can have those types of hallucinations, but COVID is really bad. Like, it makes you crazy. And I saw nieces and nephews murdered. I saw my friends that were here that were having nervous breakdowns, and it would manifest in these crazy scenes. And it was almost like I was up here watching what was going on, and actually to the point where some of this, I almost had premonitions where some of it is now coming true. It's like really weird. I could go on for hours about that whole kind of spiritual end of it. But when I woke up, I said to my sister, I said, I said, tomorrow is promised to no one, and tell everyone I felt their prayers from around the world. There were literally people in Italy at shrines praying for me. And I got, there was this whole movement where a friend of mine had people do postcards for Karen. I got postcards from around the world of support. And I felt that collective energy behind me. Like, I knew I was dying. There were days when I knew, even though I was in a coma, I could feel myself slipping away. And I've told this story before, that on Easter Sunday 2 years ago, when I was dying and they called my sister for a DNR, I saw the Safathia, the Mary Gloucester, who's very spiritual and had thousands of people praying for me. I saw her hand grab my wrist and pull me back.
Oh, wow.
Like, as clear as can be. That woman has divinity in her. And, but...
You told her that, I imagine?
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. There was a lot. Funny enough, there were a lot of things that happened in my hallucinations that took place in Gloucester, of all places. I don't live there. I love Gloucester. But like the fisherman took me and my husband, who was already dead. I knew it in the coma, even though, I wasn't told he had died. I saw him. He was always there, just kind of with like a little glow around him. They took us out for a lobster bake on an island. It was like, and I told Safathia that, and she's like, oh my God, it's the fishermen who have passed. They were there for you. And for whatever reason, a lot of really crazy things happened in Gloucester. So I must have some weird spiritual connection to that city, but I was lucky for it.
When did you have the moment where you knew, I'm going to make it out of here, the hospital? Was there like a certain...
Not till I woke up. I just,
And then what's that like? I mean, you're trying to get your surroundings?
Imagine, like,
are you real?
No, I woke up and I was like, I never said, where's Stephen? Because I knew in my heart he was gone.
Really?
I said, where are my sisters? Why are they not here? And the poor nurse who had to, have this conversation with me, she took my hand, and because my sister was going to be on with me on the telephone, and she said, Karen, you've woken up into a new world. There's a pandemic going on, and the hospital is shut down, and no one is allowed in. And I was like, what? Because in my family, there would have been 50 people in the room eating and drinking and waiting for me to wake up.
Yeah.
And at one point, they let my sister, they brought in an iPad, and they let her sing to me, because we have been singers our whole life. And that's why, like, people have asked me, like, when you're in a coma, can you see what's happening? There's certain things you can feel. And she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow to me, because that was a song we sang as kids. And my eyes started to flutter. And I was in a deep coma at this point. And they knew the biggest thing they were worried about with me was that I was going to be brain damaged.
Yeah.
And they said, she's probably not going to have much of a brain when she comes out. And I woke up, and the doctor said to me, he said, Karen, how do you feel? And I looked at him and I said, I feel like, I don't know if I can't swear. I said, I feel like crap, and don't even think about giving me a mirror right now. And the doctor called my sister, and he said, I think your sister's going to be okay. She's like, she just woke up from a 31-day coma, and she's actually really funny. And I don't know, I guess I have just an incredible will to survive. There's no doubt about that. I'm a really strong person. And people say all the time, like, oh, I could never do that. And I said, you don't know. Till you're in that position, you don't know what you're capable of. I just knew I wanted to live. Yeah.
So that's funny. So the doctors don't even know until that you start talking.
Yes.
Wow.
When you're that heavily sedated for 31 days, it's not good.
Yeah.
And actually, I was paralyzed too. They gave me paralytics because I was fighting this. They said, we have never seen a patient fight like this. I knew. And what was happening simultaneously was I was having all these dreams where my friends were nurses speaking in like British accents, and they would say, Karen, or a Southern accent sometimes, do you know where you are? And I'd be like, I was always trying to get to opening night. It was like there was a big opening night, and I had to get on stage. And they would say, no, dear, you're in the hospital. I'm like, I'm not in the hospital. I was fighting with some of my dearest friends because I didn't believe I was in the hospital. But I knew I was paralyzed. I was always paralyzed. I was always in a gurney, or I was on a couch that I couldn't get off of, or a chair I couldn't get up from. So I knew physically I was strapped down and given paralytics. And it manifested that way in my dreams.
Wow.
It's wild on the other side. I'll tell you, if you ever have time to watch that series on Netflix called Surviving Death, it's fascinating. It does stories about people in comas, people who have died and come back.
You can relate to a lot of that.
Past life thing, like a reincarnation. I could write a series way more intense than what they did. It was like I saw some crazy stuff on the other side.
Again, Karen Nascembeni joining us, General Manager, North Shore Music Theater in Beverly. Obviously, that story. So many families are going through a lot of those stories after this pandemic. I don't think it has quite grasped. I think maybe it's going to take years for people to kind of look back and see what this did to
this time in our history, right?
Crazy, right? I will say, I got to hang out with you. We had fun nights there up in New Hampshire doing the Seabrook Idol and everything. Is there a part of you that is able to kind of laugh off some of the silly stuff in life now? Just, you know what? I'm not going to fret over that.
It is actually amazing. When you have gone through as much as I have and you've lost as much as I have, I'm actually the most calm person at work. And you would think I would be losing it. And I had the good grace of being able to have a year and a half off to recuperate. I don't know how somebody loses a spouse and goes back to work the next week. How do they do that is beyond me. So I had a year and a half where I was just kind of working from home. But people in general right now are untethered, right? They're always getting ahead of themselves. I have a great... The smartest thing I did was find a grief counselor, because when I woke up, I said, if I don't do this right, I'm going to die of a broken heart. My husband and I were madly, passionately in love. It was one of the greatest relationships I've ever known. And so I said, I need to find a grief counselor, because I need to find somebody who has heard the same stuff over and over and knows exactly what I'm going through. And she's a Newburyport woman, Susan Cooper. She's on the team for major tragedies, of whether it was 9/11 or the Boston Marathon. She saved my life, that woman. I still talk to her. I used to talk to her every week, and then every other week, now every 3 weeks, just because I can't quite let go yet.
Yeah.
But the skill set that she taught me, just little things like, don't write the end of the story. You don't know if Christmas morning is going to be hard for you or not. Don't start panicking about it. Wait, live through it, see, and we'll address it as it comes up. And that's what I'm constantly telling my staff. When we reopen, it's hard to get proper staff again, right? A lot of people went off and started other careers. So I'm actually, because I've been through so much, I don't sweat it. I'm just like, guys, this is nothing. I lost my husband. This is like, okay, so we might be a little bit late opening the show, or we just lost a lead to a show and we have to replace them. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And my friend in the restaurant business, Rich from Chianti, he used to always say, one way or another, we're going to get to 11 o'clock tonight. The dishwasher's breaking, the talent didn't show up. One way or another, we're going to get to 11 o'clock tonight. So I think of that all the time.
I like that. That is good. But one thing I will say, I remember your story. This was before I knew you, but I remember your story because it was early in the pandemic, and it was one of the first cases. Okay, this is really real. And I know that person, a lot of the community knew you. Your theater, man, did they step up for you?
Yeah, they did.
I know, you could tell. I'm sure even if you weren't well liked, there would have been people because of the situation. But man, you could tell people loved you.
I'm so blessed.
Your people,
I'm so blessed. What did they do? They didn't know what to do. They started making masks. You couldn't get masks back then. Think about that. And our costume department stepped up and started making thousands of masks. Bill donated them. He didn't take a dime for any of it. He was giving them to nursing homes, any community center that needed them. And look, my team held that theater together for me for a year and a half. They went through all of the grant processes and the loans that they had to get. Bill took out a ton of money just to keep our doors open, because during that time, you're still paying your taxes. You're still paying your heating and the stuff that breaks when a building is closed. We spent a fortune on new HVAC and new toilets, new plumbing, because buildings want to be used, and there was nobody in there for a year and a half. So even though we were dark, there was no income coming in, and all this stuff was breaking. We had mold issues, mold remediation. It was a fortune, but they pulled it together. Yeah. I'm the leader. I wasn't there, and they did it. Everybody stepped up, and leaders were created during this time, because we needed them.
Probably people who took on roles that they never dreamed they'd have to take on, right? Trying to fill your shoes.
Yeah, when I came back, it was kind of like, hey, wait, that's my decision. They're like, well, I've been making these decisions for a year and a half. Thank God they were.
That's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not an accountant, but I'm going to try to be one. Now. It's too fun. There's a lot that goes into it. What's the, and just the staff shortage, like you said, I know every business is being hit by that. Are you guys doing okay right now? Or
Yeah, it's tough though. It takes,
my Starbucks is only open till 2 p.m. right
Mine
now.
too. I know. Same thing. I go there at 3 in the afternoon when I'm crashing and I'm like, what do you mean you're closed at 2?
I know.
Yeah. So we're slowly ramping up, slowly, finding people. I think that employees in general, not just at the theater, they're not the same that they were before. Our guys, they would have stayed up till 3 in the morning and slept in the aisles to get that show up.
Yeah.
Now it sometimes takes double the people. They don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Not just because they were sitting on a couch for a year and a half. Mentally during that time, people changed because they said, I want more of a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, sleep in the aisles, and to get a show up. So you have to hire sometimes double the people now.
Yeah.
And that's across all industries. All of my friends that are leaders in companies, they're seeing the same thing.
Have you also noticed too, and I hope this is true, just my very non-exact feel for it is that it is true, but I went to a guy we had on here the other day, Eric White, great musician, and he's playing in Newburyport, and I went out to see him after the show and hanging out, and they're kind of, it was just a late arriving thing, that the bar was opening late, and then they were kind of playing around with the sound a little bit, and I'm looking around and I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, I feel like back in the day, like you'd have people at the bar yelling, when you starting? Or like that sort of thing. And maybe the band would be like, you got to get the sound right to the bar. And maybe the bar would be like, well, if you're here earlier, and then there's this fight, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's none of that.
Yeah.
I remember like the bartender going, oh, play whenever and play till whenever. I heard the bartender say that. And then nobody left. Everybody was all cool, hanging out. And then he played and it was great. But I was just thinking to myself, like, very easygoing audiences I've seen. And I have seen that throughout almost everywhere I've been in the last few months. Hopefully that's what. Have you seen that at all?
Our people were very patient and kind.
Patient is a good word.
Say,
That's a good
because
word.
Because in general, people are not patient right now.
Right.
They're not.
Something about the arts, though.
Yeah, I think they were just so happy to come back.
Yep.
And to support us, and they did. They came back in droves. We did 2 shows. We did a couple concerts in September, and then we did Mamma Mia, and then we closed with a Christmas Carol. And people really came back, and we were pleased to see that. We were one of the only theaters that didn't have to shut down a performance.
Yep.
We did have actors out, but we were super careful. And so understudies went on, and that to me is one of the greatest stories through this. Like Broadway, there are nights that 6 people are on swings and understudies, and yes, that's what they're paid for, but a lot of people don't memorize their lines. They're like, I'm never going to go on. Now you're going on. I've said to Kevin, our artistic director, whenever any cast arrives, you tell them it's very likely you're going to go on because, COVID is still out there.
Yeah. I mean, you must, Broadway, I know you're close with Broadway as well. Just, I know they were hit hard there, and I can't imagine when you start talking about those audiences, you're bringing in people that are still coming from all over the place.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal. How is the business as a whole, the industry? Because it's just a domino effect, right? You feel it at the small theaters when they struggle, right?
I think actually we've done better than some of my friends are on Broadway. They said that sometimes there's half houses, there's third houses. People are still not quite comfortable. And the Broadway theaters are much tighter. Like our seats are a lot roomier, but they're seeing it. But the biggest thing with venues right now, which was not as much an issue for us, but many venues are complaining, people are buying tickets and then not showing up.
Oh.
So they're playing, even though it's a sold-out house, it's only half full. But then what happens is then they're not buying a drink, and that's where a lot of these people make their money in concessions and whatnot.
What do we think the reasoning is there? Is that just
they said it's not? You know what? I'll eat the $150 or the $100.
I was
it
hoping we were
like
out of
when
it.
Omicron came out in the fall. That it was rampant. It was really bad. Even I was talking to somebody from Live Nation the other day. Even the Jan Feb concerts with them, they said people are not coming. They're eating the price of their tickets. It's not worth it to them.
Yeah.
And with us, I don't think it was as big a deal because we were 100% masked. So they weren't as afraid.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we did okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So I can imagine in a place like New York, maybe, I was bought this 6 months ago hoping that things would be better. We're not quite there yet.
Right.
I get that. All right. So that makes a lot of sense. How about you come out of this, you see your team that kept you afloat. Not only it kept you afloat, but now you're thriving through this all. Like, is it I know you're a close family beforehand. It's got to be times a million now.
Yeah, we're really tight. We are. It's we're so lucky. We're blessed. Look, theater folks are a different breed, right?
Yeah,
They just, no one's in it for the money. We're doing it because we love our craft, and every one of us would take a bullet for that place. And we're there to support Bill because God love him. You know, he took a huge financial risk. He could
give Bill the full last name and everything.
Oh, Bill Haney. Yeah, Bill Haney, the owner and producer of North Shore Music Theater. And, he said to me, of all times, Karen, my right-hand girl, you're like in a coma. I'm navigating the toughest part of my career.
Yeah.
But thank God everybody else was there to step up for him. I mean, we will feel the repercussions of this for a long time. We have loans to pay back. You know, we're a for-profit. We didn't get all the free money. You know, we got some free money, but we also had to take out loans to stay alive. And so we have to be really conservative over the next couple of years to make sure we survive.
Did you look around too? And I mean, I know the firehouse right down the street here in Newburyport, they had similar struggles. I mean, everybody did. And some of these places didn't survive. Is it, one, you must feel lucky to still be going. And two, did you work with the other company? I know you don't work together, but, maybe even emotionally, we're there for you if you need anything. I don't know.
We chose, I mean, we did, definitely donate things, whether it was props or whatever that people needed. We chose to not open, not to do an outdoor thing just because we were hit so hard.
Yeah.
But I did a story for North Shore Magazine on what other theaters were doing during COVID. And the Firehouse did things with, is it Historic New England? Oh my God, I think it's Historic New England, out at the Spencer Pierce Farm, and they did concerts and drive-ins, and good for them. And a lot of people had to do that just to stay afloat because they wanted to keep their subscribers engaged. And I'm treating it this year, I'm booking so many events, I've got a book signing one night in the Broadway Club. I've got, the YMCA Gala, things that we normally might not be able to do. I'm treating this year like 2010 when Bill Haney bought the theater. I want every person possible in that building for whatever kind of event, because when you walk into that campus, you fall in love with it and you say, oh, now I want to buy tickets to Kinky Boots or to a concert or whatever. I just want to remind people that we're there because we were dark for almost 2 years. And they're buying tickets and they're coming back.
It's a theater that has that charm, right? Because I've always said that, you made it, what you just said is exactly right. I've gone to see, maybe I would or wouldn't go see a certain person there on some night, but you know what? Since I'm kind of debating, since it's there, I'll go there and try it because I like the place. It's usually a good night, which is a cool thing.
I'll host a community event with the police department or whatever. That we do this thing called the Silent Witness every year for domestic violence. People always walk over. They look at it. Wow, this place is adorable. I'm going to come back, and they go and buy tickets. Yeah, that's what I want.
That's perfect. Yeah. That is great. Well, what's the what has been the kind of, as you come out of the pandemic, what's been the thing that's been the most kind of fun hobby for you? Has it been doing the Seabrook Idol thing, or has it been going to see shows? Is that?
I'm bad. I'm out every night of the week. I've always been like that.
I would do the same thing.
Always, I did for a year.
God damn it.
I know. I'm like, you know what? I was saved. I got to live life. But I do, for a long time I masked up and for a while I have FOMO, a fear of missing out. My first year, I didn't have the fear of missing out. I was too terrified to go out. Yeah. But now I'm back out in force. I want to support live music. I want to support restaurants. I've had a lot of fun booking concerts. So this year, normally we have all national acts. This year, I just didn't want to take a chance in case we get another outbreak. And it's easier to work with, a more affordable regional act. And I'm just so happy to give these people a place on our stage that normally would not have the opportunity. And that's really exciting to me.
I was so happy when I saw, not that I love Jay Pizarro. You got to meet him there in Seabrook, and I remember telling you, listen, this guy, he's great. And I obviously you did that and liked him too, because the people that come through here and play, there's so much talent that I'm like, how are you not a star?
I know.
You're amazing. You know,
know.
I've seen all the big bands out there. I'm like, there's no way you don't deserve to be up there.
It is always amazing to me who makes it and who doesn't.
I know. It's got to be this fine line. Probably some luck involved,
well, and
right?
especially in this area, we're so blessed with so much talent. I mean, you can go to Francois books a lot at Reds, and I'll go there on a Saturday. I'm like, I can't believe this person is here. They're so talented.
Oh, I know.
I went to a private event to Chianti last week. I was like, this is amazing, this band, know? It's just, we're blessed.
It's another, Beverly's a great going out town, too.
It is. It's a great scene.
I know you speak highly of Beverly. Not just because your place is there, but man, it's a great.
We've got 4 theaters in Beverly now.
I know,
it's amazing.
Right? It is great. What's that one? You got obviously you got the Cabot, which is great. But
So we're
is
the
it
biggest.
the Larcom?
Yes. So we're the biggest at 1,500. Then the Cabot is 8 or 850.
Another charm place.
Yeah, it's wonderful what they're doing there. And then the Larcom is I think 5 or 550. And then the Cabot also took off next door to the Larcom. They took over Nine Wallace,
the comedy.
which was doing concerts, and they're launching a comedy show there,
Gotcha.
a comedy series. So so we're lucky. And then there's all the breweries. There's like 4 breweries, and all of them have entertainment. So you can any day of the week you can go out and see something live. Why wouldn't you?
What's the true story when you guys have something going on and the Cabot has something going on? You hoping that everybody just comes to your place?
Well, fortunately we book very I shouldn't say different genres because right now we have a lot of the same stuff too. But usually when we're in musical theater mode, they're doing a rock concert, so it's sometimes 2 different audiences. So
There's
we're
enough
fine.
for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're all friends. They come to our shows, we go to their shows, and we all help each other out whenever we can. And listen, when I woke up from the coma, they put on their marquee, "The show will go on. Welcome home,
Cabot?
Karen." Yeah, so they're friends. I actually introduced the executive director to his wife,
Casey?
So yeah,
No kidding, I didn't
Jason.
know that story.
Jason was my assistant at the time.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so we're all friends.
Very cool. Well, that's great. It is a great spot. All the Danvers people like to go to Beverly because there's a little bit more going on in Beverly. So that's how we look at it. I mean, geez, it's I don't. You obviously have a story to tell. You said you could write a million novels that are better. What do you look back on and just? I mean, has it even? Can you sum it up? And I don't even know how to ask it.
When you wake up from a coma and you go on Facebook and there are hundreds of people wearing T-shirts with your face on it, and there's this whole movement. There were 2 of them. One was Karen's Party People, and one was Hello Darling. Because when I walk into the office every morning, I either say hello darling or good morning party people, or if we're doing a show I go let's go party people, like if we're getting to throw a cast party or something. So they had these 2 sketches done of me while I was in the coma, and they started a scholarship in my husband's name, which is now at Montserrat College of Art. It's now a permanent endowment. We've raised so much money. And you wake up and there are people holding wine glasses and coffee mugs with your face on it, and I go, what happened while I was asleep? Like when, my friend Nate started this scholarship and made all this swag and I still walk around and I'll see people in T-shirts. And then the next stage was they went and they got their vaccination with my T-shirts on. And there was a postcards for Karen with postcards around the world being sent to me. I am the luckiest person alive. To this day, people bring me food. 2 years later, they'll make me meals and bring me food. I'm like, guys, I'm out every night of the week. What are you doing? And but I'm so blessed. And when things were so dark over the past couple of years and people were losing hope, I would say to them, even if you don't have hope personally, look at the humanity I have experienced, right? Like, don't ever lose faith. Like, we're in dark times right now, but there are so many good people out there. Yeah. And I'm living proof of it. I still reap the benefits of it.
Oh, yeah. You must get emotional thinking about it because, there was a lot of love sent your way.
There was.
So.
I felt it.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Lucky to be here. It's not lost on me. I just turned 60 and I was like, it beats the alternative. I'm not going to complain. And so happy to celebrate it.
Hopefully you had a good bash and, celebrate it however you wanted to.
I did. It's been like over a month-long celebration with different people every night.
Keep it going for the year. I think
I'm in March now. We had to extend because I wasn't, the old Karen that could go out 7 nights a week. I had to pause every once in a while.
Well, keep it going to 61 then. There you go. I think that's perfect. It's been a pleasure. It's been great to meet you and in person. And I've followed your story for a bit, and meeting you a couple months ago was great. And now here we are. It's
so much fun.
Pleasure. Yeah. Karen Nascembeni, North Shore Music Theater General Manager. Anything else you'd like to add? This has been outstanding.
No, just support live music everywhere you can, whether it's here at the Firehouse or in a local club or at North Shore Music Theater. It's so good for the soul, and it's so important to keep our industry rocking. We got to do it.
Where can people go if they want to see your schedule? And
they can go to nsmt.org.
All right. A lot of great. How many shows you got booked?
Well, we've got, I think, 13 concerts, and then we've got the 6 musicals are Smokey Joe's Cafe, Cinderella, Buddy, The Buddy Holly Story, Little Shop of Horrors, Kinky Boots, and A Christmas Carol, and then a whole bunch of concerts in every genre under the sun.
So you guys are ramping up to a full schedule here.
We are.
That's fantastic. Feels good, doesn't it?
It does. It feels good to be back in the saddle.
All right, Karen Nascembeni, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. I got a big shout out today to Sarah Barnacle, Sarah Blackstone, Sarah Barnacle, another Sarah. There's too many Sarahs. I'm looking at Sarah Hayden. I got to It's too funny. I'm literally looking at all Sarah's outside. This is fantastic. But Sarah Blackstone, thank you so much producing this show. As always, she does a great job. Sarah Hayden, the boss on the other side there. Sarah, very good. And this has been fun. So very good. Thank you guys. Hope everybody is healthy. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the week. And I think we're getting some spring weather. You ready for some spring weather?
I am so ready.
Should be. I am too. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us live at Drew's house. Joppa Afternoon Drive. Peace.